Hey there, I'm Gab Lavoie, and let me tell you what we're doing today. So, with the guys in Iduna, which is one of the bands that I play drums for, we've been kind of steadily chugging along, doing some recording in our practice space. Really, we've mostly just been kind of doing overdubs on some bed tracks that have already been done, doing things like adding guitar parts, adding vocal parts, etc. So if you guys have been watching these videos for a little while, you know that I am not the original drummer for Iduna. I started back in September of 2019, or October rather, not September. And you know that, or maybe you don't know. Well, whether you know or you don't know, I'm telling you now. A lot of these tracks that we're working on, they already have recordings from the previous drummer on them for the bed tracks. So although we're steadily releasing a bunch of new material during this year, I don't really feature on it right now. So what's fun about getting to record is that I finally get to have my name associated with one of these songs. But I won't be recording drums. They've actually asked me to record some keyboard parts that they thought would be appropriate for one of these songs. So that brings us to today's topic. I'm going to be recording some organ parts for a song called Threads. Okay, so let's talk about the song Threads a little bit. It's been described to me in a couple various ways. Number one is that because it's from the Iduna backlog, it is ancient, as Tim likes to say. I think Trison wrote the song, and he described it as being a very sad song, but it is very nice too. It's quite beautiful. It's got really nice chord progressions. Having listened to the song a little bit, it's got a bit of a slower tempo. I think it's at about 76 BPM. And it's a very dynamic song. It starts out quite soft, subdued drums, like not rim shots, but like rim clicks, subtle guitar. I think there's some acoustic in there too. But it does build up as the song goes along. And I think it's within sort of the peak of that build-up that the guys are asking me to put some keys parts in there. So with that said, I can load up a project. I've already kind of started here. I've put in the bounce of the file that we have so far. It doesn't have a vocal take right now, so it's just an instrumental track. Should be fine to record organ parts. Again, the part that I'm adding is meant to be a little bit more in the background, so I kind of have to try and anticipate that there's going to be a vocal track put in at some point. But yeah, I've loaded the bounce that's in there for now. I've set some tracks to record my keyboard parts. I have both a left and a right because it's a keyboard. Rule of thumb is that we're going to record in stereo unless we're going for something else. If we're going much farther with this, I realized you guys would maybe like to know what I'm playing. So let's have a look. So I'm playing a Vox Continental 73. It is right now my kind of general purpose keyboard. What I like about it is that it's kind of no nonsense in the sense that there are no like menus and sub-menus to dive through just to find all your sounds. This one is really simple. You have organ sounds, piano sounds, electric piano sounds, and your other sounds like claves, strings, general MIDI, etc. So very, very easy to use, which I like because after, not that I don't have the ability to dive through menus and stuff, but it gets annoying and it gets old fast. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, let's actually listen to the song, and I'm going to find where it is that I need to come in with the organ. Solo's coming now. Right around here. Alright, so I briefly paused it because the guys kind of gave me a heads up where they thought the organ would fit in best, and Jason suggested right around the 303 mark, which is right there. So before I listen to the rest, I'm going to put in a marker and put in organ starts. Let's listen to the rest. Pause the song again. So I'm pausing it again because we're almost at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That was the cutout point that Jason suggested. I'm gonna mark it down for now, but I do want to keep listening because I may have a different opinion on where I think the organ should cut out, but I think it may make more sense for the organ to come out a little later if there's sort of a natural spot for that to happen. So I think the organ should actually keep going until pretty much the end of the song and fade out at the same time that everything else does. But yeah, now we kind of have a little bit of the lay of the land. I know where I need to start, and I have some ideas as to where I should be cutting out. Okay, so next step. Now that we've established where in the song I'm going to play, I need to figure out what I'm going to play. And I wasn't really given a whole lot, so I need to go and figure out the chord progressions. For that purpose, I'm going to stick with just a regular piano sound right now. I don't want anything too fancy that's going to confuse me. I already know that the song is in A minor from playing to it a little bit. We just got to do this the old-fashioned way. Listen, play, try to figure it out by ear. There's kind of two main sections that we're dealing with that we need to figure out. There is a sort of bridge type thing where the solo is happening, the guitar solo. After the solo, I think it goes back to the chorus, and that's kind of a second section with its own chord progression. So I'm going to tackle each of those one at a time, and we're just going to have at her. Oh, that sounded a little funny. I thought I had it, but that sounded a little funny. I think that C is clashing. Bass still sounds like it's going to the A, so I'm not sure what's happening. Unless it goes back to a D minor. Nope. Maybe it's just clashing with a note in the solo. It mostly seems to fit. So I think I have it. I don't know if it was actually clashing. Might just be like a passing note from the solo. It's kind of a progression in two phrases. First phrase, D minor, C, G, and then C, G, A minor. But the song ends on the G. It doesn't go back, it doesn't resolve. That's the chorus. I was already a little more familiar with that part just from listening to it, so I wanted to tackle it first. Now we're going to go to the bridge, which I don't really know what happens in there. Sounds like A minor, C so far. That was actually easier than the chorus. A minor, C, then it goes down to a G, and there's kind of a little offbeat punch on the A, and it just goes back down to the G. And it just repeats that like two or four times or something. But yeah, that's pretty easy. I'm going to try playing through everything just to make sure that I'm happy with what I've picked out here. Chorus. Oh, not quite. There's a bit of a walk-up or something that's happening at the end of the bridge that I need to figure out. And that's why you double-check your work. A pretty simple walk-up. I'm not sure if it's only the bass or both the bass and the chords. I'm going to try both and see what happens. Yeah, power chord walk up. Alright, I'm pretty satisfied that I've got the chords down now, so we'll move on to figuring out some tones. Alright, so now it's the fun part, we get to work on the tone. Already have a little bit of an idea of what we want for this. The guys in the band, Jason especially, thought that a sort of B3 sound would work well. And thankfully, this guy's got a sort of B3 emulator in it. It's got a CX3 option in the organ. So we're gonna go with that. I've already been fiddling around a little bit and looking through some presets that I think will work well. So I found a preset that sounds close to what I want. Here's kind of what it sounds like on its own. From my ears anyway, there seems to be a lot of kind of mids in what's in the song already, mostly taken up by the guitars, of course. So I think that the organ will have the best shot of standing out in the higher end of what's going on. And this sound has a bit of that. It has a little bit too much to my taste going on just in general, so I'm gonna play around with the drawbars, try taking a bit of stuff out. I think it could be a tiny bit mellower. So let's see what we can do. That's sounding quite a bit closer to what I'm kind of hearing in my head. I'm going to try playing along to the song a little bit, see how it feels. That's sounding pretty good so far. I'm pretty happy with what that's giving us. I almost wish that I hit record on that. Let me show you what I did. So these drawbars down here on the original preset were all completely maxed out, which is why it sounded like too much for me. All I did was take a few of them down a little bit. They're all still in there, but most of them have been cut back a little bit, some of them even like halfway. And I find that that's fitting in pretty well so far. Yeah, I think it's pretty much time to try recording this. Before I actually get started with recording, I wanted to give a quick sort of a word and explanation on the parts that I've kind of constructed so far. One of the things that's interesting about playing organ for me is that it's not something I feel completely comfortable with, because I'm actually more of a pianist. I was trained more to play classical piano. What I try to do when I play organ is I try to remind myself that I don't necessarily have to be as busy as I would be if I was playing piano, and that on the organ it can be a lot more effective to simply hold down a chord rather than play all percussive and a bunch of notes all the time as you might on piano. And the other thing that you may have noticed is I was also only playing with one hand, playing triads. The reason for that is I want my left hand free to be able to hit that lever so that I can activate the rotary speed, change between slow and fast, because that gives it a really nice effect. The sort of mindset I'm going in with this for this part is the organ is just a nice little background thing that's filling up some space. It's not really meant to be the star of what's going on. In regards to kind of choosing the parts that I'm playing, very simple triads, but there is sort of one thing that I'm trying to do a little more strategically. I'm trying to pick inversions of the chords that highlight the melody, especially in the chorus. There's a sort of da 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 da. So I'm trying to outline that. The way I'm kind of thinking about it, I'm kind of playing an accompaniment. Is that the word? To put it simply, I'm playing a part that I feel complements the melody in what's going on and kind of highlights it. Another quick comment on the gear. I'm just plugged straight into my sound card. There's nothing fancy going around, like no preamps, no compression, no any special effects apart from anything that's going on the keyboard. So on the keyboard, I have a bit of like the Korg has this valve drive. It's like a tube circuit that's built in. I have a little bit of that on. I've got a bit of reverb, dry organ with some reverb, nothing too complicated. No, no good. Try again. I got distracted. Take two. Sounded pretty good. I'll have a listen back to it. All right, so had a couple listen backs to that take I just did. Sounding the way I pretty much want it to. I'm happy with it. No real playing mistakes on my part too, which is a bonus. So I'm going to bounce it down, send it off to the rest of the guys, and see what they think. All right, so it's a few months later now, quite a few months. We're now in late August and still in the pandemic. And the guys are actually happy with my organ take, so I won't have to redo anything. That take was good, and we're done recording the organ parts. So that does bring us to the end of this episode. I hope that you enjoyed getting to see the different aspects that go into recording, even just one instrument for a song, kind of behind the scenes and the different considerations that go into crafting parts that work well with pre-existing recordings. And yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments if you've ever done anything like this before, if you'd have done anything differently. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. In any case, if you do want to see more content like this, please take a second to like this video, subscribe, and to hit that bell so you get notifications for future videos. My name's Gab Lavoie, and I'll see you next time. Bye.